Listen, basis loaded, bottom of the ninth. I want to talk about getting fired. Now, I tell you guys, a 9 to 5 save lives, and that's because it keeps you afloat. But when it comes to a 9 to 5, you got to understand that you are in another person's house. Mom and pop company, you in another man's house. Bigger corporation, you in somebody's house. A corporation is so many people that answer to so many people, you don't even know who's at the top of the pyramid. If you find out, you probably want to be working there. Let it breathe. So with that being said, if you have a job and you got fired, I will say, if you think the writing is on the wall, I will pull out anything from a 401k. I will pull out anything from an investment, because when it's all said and done, I want to talk about the realest thing ever. And a lot of people don't want to talk about real topics, but I want to talk about real topics. And I feel that no man should go 1 month without pay. And I'm going to say this again. I feel that no man should go 1 month in this world, in this lifetime, without pay. When it's all said and done, a lot of people, they comfy, they relax. And that's not a problem. But a lot of people that live comfy and relaxed, they go along to get along. 9 out of 10, if you got fired from a job, probably that's because you were not the type to go along to get along. And I believe that no man should go along to get along. When it's all said and done, respect is everything. And out here at a lot of these jobs, everybody just want to get alpha male practice. Nobody else want to talk about that. So you might go to a job and you might have good intentions. You minding your business, guess what? Trouble's still going to come and find you. So I feel that if the writing is on the wall, pull from your 401k. So if they do fire you and they do let you go, okay, bet. At least you got something to fall back on. But if you get fired from a job and listen, a lot of people, they're blessed because their mother is still living. Their parents are alive. So with that being said, you got to listen, even if your parents are alive, I always tell myself, think about what would have happened if your parents wasn't alive. And a lot of people, some people don't have a mother. Some people don't have their parents. So with that being said, listen, if your parents are alive, you better count your blessings if you got fired. But if you don't have a mother and your father's not here and you get fired, guess what? It's all on you. Like, a lot of people don't want to stop and think, but a lot of people are not too far away from being homeless. If that check does not come in, if that check does not clear 2 times a month, a lot of people are literally 1 step away from being homeless. That's what I always tell you guys. Stay focused before you end up homeless. And whatever you're going through, you got to fight until the end. When you get fired from your job, your manager, they want to see you hurt financially. 9 out of 10, listen, shout out to all over the world. Shout out to Sweden. Shout out to Finland, shout out to Denmark. But in America, AKA what it's all about, capitalism, a lot of people, they like to hurt people financially. If they can see your trap slow down, if they can see your emotions slow down, if they think you're about to fall, guess what? Everybody is celebrating. The giant is about to fall. So you guys have to understand, listen, I don't care if you've been balling for 6 years. I don't care if you've been balling for 10 years. I don't care if you've been balling for 2 decades. You better stay focused, because if you pulling out cars after cars after cars, living in penthouses after penthouse after penthouses, and you fall, listen, everybody, they're going to be cheering, they're going to be celebrating. This is the world that we live in, and this is the world that nobody wants to talk about. 1 month without pay, anybody can be homeless. And I'm going to say this again, 1 month without pay, anybody can be homeless. 2 months without pay, anybody can be homeless. 3 months without pay, listen, you in a fight of your life. You guys have to understand, if you got family members holding you down, listen, you're the chosen one. Because like I said, some people, their parents are gone. And I feel like while you at a job, you should be investing in yourself the whole time while you're at a job. And I'm going to say this again. While you're at a job, you should be investing in yourself the whole time. The whole time. Every check should go into what you're doing. See, my main thing is everything, every dollar that I receive, every dollar that I earn, I invest it into myself. And I feel like that's the best mindset to have. Of course, put away for a rainy day, but everything that I made on YouTube, I invested into me. I invested into the product. I invested into the brand. I invested into the FLS. I invested. So my main thing is, I had a situation with a job, and I wasn't worried because I have been investing in myself for over 5.5 years, going on 6 years. So if I have a hiccup with a job, just a little bump in the road, you think I'm a stress like that? Now you gonna feel a little, you know what I mean? When it's fresh off the press, you know, when it just happened, it might steal your mind for a little bit, but you gotta understand, a lot of these companies will literally play in your face. And I'm gonna say this again, a lot of these corporations, they will play in your face. If they feel like they can replace you, they will play in your face. And I'm here to tell you, every step of the way, stand up for yourself. And if you get fired, it's a part of the game. And I'm going to say this again. If you get fired, it's a part of the game. But you should feel good about yourself because at least you didn't go along to get along. So many people live life in fear. A lot of people don't talk about this, but a lot of people that work these jobs, like they experience strokes. Like, that should tell you a lot about a lot of these jobs in these corporations. A lot of people experience strokes. The last job that I was at, a guy experienced 7 strokes. He survived. But imagine 7 strokes, like, come on, man. He was always stressing. He was always screaming at the top of his lungs. He was always going through it. He experienced 7 strokes. And as a witness, I feel like everything happens for a reason. And I just want to say, when you work a job, try your best to just stay focused. But a lot of people, they want to treat the 9 to 5 like high school. They want to get in your business. What you doing outside of work? What you got going on? And then what happens is, if you give them the cold shoulder, then they plotting against you to get you fired. And I'm going to say this again. If you give somebody the cold shoulder, they plotting to get you fired. And 9 out of 10, if it's a 20 verse 1, and I'm not talking about a dating show, HR, they are not on your side. They represent risk management. I don't know why they call them human resources, because they are not human and they don't give you resources. And I'm going to say this again. I don't know why they call HR human resources, because they don't act human and they don't give you resources. But with that being said, human resources, all they waiting for is a 20 verse 1. All they waiting for is, we got 4 people saying this. You feel me? These are the Fantastic Four. We believe the Fantastic Four over telling the truth. They'll believe a lie instead of the truth. Anything to make sure that people live in fear. A lot of people don't want to talk about this, but a lot of people live in fear. It doesn't matter if they make 6 figures. They live in fear of what happens if I lose this 6 figures. Even if they make $500,000, they live in fear. What happens if I lose this $500,000? Even if they make millions, what happened if I lose 23 million? This is the world that we live in. So you got to understand, are you living in fear? Are you being bold? If you're being bold, and you should be bold, 9 out of 10, most 9 to 5s will try to get you up out of there. And I'm going to say this again. 9 out of 10, most 9 to 5s will try to get you up out of there. They will. You know, because you don't got that go along to get along attitude. So they only want people they can control. So if you get fired from a job, you got to do something legally. And notice I say legally. Don't call your cousin with the pack. And I will say, try to find another job, run a car, do DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats, Lyft. Do something, but you cannot go 1 month without working. I don't care. If you're over the age of 18, you cannot go 1 month without a job. Because then you start to pull from your parents. Then you start to pull for friends. Then you start pulling just to pull for people. No. When it's all said and done, if you go 1 month without pay, there has to be some sense of urgency that something got to give. If you go 2 months without pay, you better be in a fight of your life. You better be trading off uppercut for uppercut, hook for hook, jab for jab. When it's all said and done, like, you go 3 months without income, You better have family members. You better literally have living family members that think you're worth shelter. A lot of people, you got to understand, man, it's like they have $0 coming in. And in the age of social media, everybody just want to highlight who made Forbes. And I understand, it's entertainment. But in reality, some people, they lost their jobs or they're suspended for their jobs and they got $0 coming in. $0 are coming in. See, that's why I thank God, like, I started YouTube 5.5 years ago. When I started YouTube, I didn't even know you could make money on YouTube. When I came to YouTube, I had a boss mentality. I was selling merchandise at 1K. So it's like, I would say the first 3 years of YouTube, I was just selling merchandise, and I didn't even know you can make money on YouTube. I didn't get my first YouTube check until year 3. Now I'm at year 5.5. You feel me? Thank the Lord we monetize again. Shout out to the FLS. Thanks for the great support. But it's to the point, man. It's just like, I didn't even know you could get paid on YouTube. So forget a month. I went 3 years without even knowing you could get paid. You feel me? I missed 3 years of abundance, but it's all good. You feel me? Shoulda, woulda, coulda doesn't count even for me. And I'm going to say this again. Shoulda, woulda, coulda doesn't count even for me. But with that being said, I feel like when you at a 9 to 5, you got to really, invest in your look. Buy some suits. You feel me? I don't care what nobody say. Like, if you fall on tough times, but you got at least a good 4 to 6 tailor-made suits, listen, you can make something happen. You can make something happen. Always have some cologne. Something happens. You got a tailor-made suit. You looking good, smelling good. Something going to happen. And I'm going to say this again. Something is going to happen. You just got to stay in the fight and understand that you can't go 1 month without pay. Going 1 month without pay, that is dangerous. I don't condone it. I've been there before. And when it's all said and done, I was a YouTuber. So, and I'm going to say this again. I was a YouTuber. So if I'm a YouTuber and I have another source of income and I lose a job, it doesn't hurt like if that job was my only source. You guys have to understand, if you got one job, that's the danger zone. And I'm gonna say this again. If you got one job, that's a danger zone. What happens if somebody lie on you? And I'm gonna say this again. What happens if somebody lies on you? Like, you have one job. One job? Nah. You guys need to get multiple streams of income. Multiple streams. I don't even care if you getting an extra 200 from one account. Guess what? They all add up. So guess what? 200 from one account is better than 0 coming in. Listen, nobody wants to talk about this, but if you got $0 coming in, that's not good at all. And I'm going to say this again, that's not good at all. And you're going to have to pull from people. And you'll be surprised, man, a lot of people, like, that you thought if you run into a situation, they'll help you out. They'll straight tell you, go and figure it out. Like, what? Yeah, they'll tell you, go and figure it out. You ain't even do nothing to they girl. You ain't even do nothing to their ex. But they'll just tell you, go figure it out. So when it's all said and done, on a job, if the writing is on the wall, keep on investing in yourself until they let you go. If they let you go and you've been investing in yourself, I feel like it's no hard feelings. And I'm going to say this again. If you work a job and the whole time you was there, I don't care if it was 2, I don't care if it was 5 years. If you have been investing in yourself for 5 years, there's no hard feelings. And if there's no hard feelings, I feel like you got to learn how to leave a job, part ways, keep your head up, get back to it, understand everything happens for a reason. And you don't know what God was saving you from. That same job that you lost, that could have been the next job that somebody just came and do an active test on. You feel me? So when it's all said and done, you know what I mean? Pray for your ex-co-workers, move on. But you got to understand, you cannot go 1 month without pay. You need to reach out, take a loan out, do something, figure out what available resources are out there. But you cannot go 1 month without pay. Your rental complex, they are not trying to hear that. The most a rental complex will give you is probably 16 days after. So if you lose 1 month to pay, you got to pay rent and you got 16 days. And if you pay 16 days after, guess what? By the time you complete that victory, guess what? The first is around the corner. You done blew through half of the month. So with that being said, life is real. Stay focused before you end up homeless. And if you get fired, quickest thing legally to do is how to get cash flow coming in. And I'm going to say this again, how to get cash flow coming in. Let it breathe.